Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the week of August 18th, 2024. First, let's take a look back at one of the biggest stories from the Olympics. The United States gymnast Jordan Chiles was stripped of her bronze medal from her floor routine. And I recommend you read the story yourself. You can just Google it in case I get any of the details wrong, but this is how I understand it. She did her floor routine and her coach challenged the score, and the score was moved up, and then that enabled her to win the bronze medal. Then a different team challenged the changing of her score because they said it wasn't done within the right time frame, which I understand as 1 minute. So the U.S. had 1 minute to request the change. So after this was done, the Olympic Committee said she wasn't in a minute, and then they rolled the tape back. And yes, she was in a minute, but for whatever, all of the technicalities, it's all about minutia. And this is Mercury retrograde in the sign of Virgo. So she got her medal. Retrogrades bring reversal. So then they reversed and are trying to take it back and have her send the medal back. Now, the United States gymnastics team is fighting this. It may take years, but what have you. It's just a terrible story. This poor young woman having her medal taken away from her is, I'm sure, agonizing for her, but the astrology is incredible. So this is one of the ways that the Mars-Jupiter square Saturn showed up. So Mars competes, Jupiter is awards, and Jupiter is in the sign of its detriment, which is Gemini. And the fact that it wasn't a gold medal, the fact that it was a bronze medal, so a gold medal would be like Jupiter and Sagittarius, where it's at home. And squares are tense. And Saturn rejects and excludes. And in Pisces, it was artistic gymnastics. And Pisces has associations with dance and art and creativity. And it was the floor routine, which has dance components. And Gemini rules dexterity. It's a mutable sign. So, I mean, it is all the astrology is incredible. And if we go back to the new moon, everything that happens throughout a month is seated at the new moon. And at the new moon, Venus at the 29th degree of Leo, which is a star, but Leo is the performer, is the star, is the one. But at that 29th degree of crisis and decay, was King Kong's Neptune, and Neptune dissolves and washes away. So, this star athlete having her medal washed away. We also saw there was a desire to assassinate Taylor Swift. You can see that in the same aspect as well, that King Kong's. Another story that caught my eye is that Donald Trump's campaign emails were hacked, and his campaign is blaming Iran. So hacked from a foreign entity. So that's the Mars. Mars attacks, and Jupiter rules long distance travel. So you can think the associations with a foreign country. And square Saturn in Pisces. There's some embarrassing things and secretive things that have been uncovered in this leak. And the goal of, if it was in fact Iran, their goal would be to keep him from being president, to have the American people reject and exclude him from the White House. One of the things released so far is an embarrassing picture of his running mate, J.D. Vance, who is just really the gift that keeps on giving to Kamala Harris. So you can Google it if you want to know about that. And the other thing that was released was Project 2025 training videos. And I think I talked about this a few weeks ago. This is conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, created a plan for the next Republican president. Like part of it was they went through and interviewed a lot of people and sent them training videos. So what they want to do is hit the ground running and make some major changes in the government. Now, Donald Trump talked about this plan, I think it was 2021 summer or 2022 summer, it doesn't matter. He talked about how the Heritage Foundation was making this plan for his next term, but he has now disavowed them and said he has nothing to do with this plan, even though J.D. Vance, his vice president, wrote the foreword for a book of one of the leaders of the Heritage Foundation. That's neither here or there. But Donald Trump is very associated with this Project 2025 plan, even though he says he rejects it. And there are these videos that have been released that talk about how they're going to implement controls for the government. And Saturn controls, Saturn's the authority, and Pisces, these videos, there's something like 35 videos. So if you're interested, you can go Google it online. It's ProPublica that has released the videos, and you can watch the videos if you so choose. The theme of this week is Lyrical Assassin, and there are three big things I want you to think about as we navigate this week. The first is that we'll have a full moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius at 11:25 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow on Monday. And the full moon is the culmination of the lunar phase, where the moon is at 100% maximum light. All is revealed. It's in the sign of Aquarius, a fixed air sign that is about thought and intellect. Its tagline is, I know. Aquarius rules groups and organizations and large groups of people and friends. The United States moon is at 27 degrees of Aquarius. So this full moon is important for the United States, and it's happening on the day that the Democratic National Convention starts. So this will get a lot of attention. A lot of people's eyes in the country will be on it. And the sun at 27 degrees of Leo, fixed fire side that is dramatic, that rules performers and royalty. And Leo is the star, and the Aquarius is the audience looking at the Leonic performer. Now it squares Uranus also at 27 degrees in the sign of Taurus. Uranus is the change maker. It's the great awakener. It's Prometheus who stole fire from the gods and brought it down to man. Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury. It's exciting. It's surprising. It's like sudden breaks. Something suddenly snaps under some stress. So earthquakes are Uranian and lightning strikes are Uranian. These are things you can think about. Winning the lottery is Uranian. Eureka, I've won. Yes, striking gold is Uranian. And it's still conjunct the fixed star Algol, which is a star I've talked about several times. Like it can have to do with catastrophes, but it's also that Lilith mythology. Lilith, the woman who would not be subservient. Medusa mythology. Medusa, a woman who was punished for being attacked. It's also symbolic of the childless cat lady, a woman who will not be subservient and just get married and have kids just because J.D. Vance tells her that's what she's supposed to do. So Kamala Harris is an Algol type person. Taylor Swift, an Algol type person. You can think about that as you navigate this week. And this is the Democratic National Convention, where Kamala Harris is going to be giving her speeches, accepting the nomination, and doing all of this kind of stuff related to the election. And her Saturn is at 28 degrees of Aquarius. So the moon, all of the people are on her Saturn. Saturn is the planet of earned success, hard work, duty, authority, responsibility, all of that sort of thing. And her Saturn is in domicile. It is at home in the sign of Aquarius, and it's right near her Pisces midheaven. And this is a really interesting lunar phase family, because the new moon of this 27-month cycle was at 1 degrees of Pisces. So sometimes when these lunations are at right around the end of the sign or the beginning of a sign, like they'll slip between two signs. And it's always meaningful, because this 1 degrees of Pisces, this new moon that happened on February 19th, of 2023 was conjunct Kamala Harris's midheaven. So I would recommend she go back and see what was seated back then, if there was a story. At the first quarter moon, which was when the sun was in Scorpio and the moon was in Aquarius, both at 27 degrees. This was on November 20th of 2023. So you can think back to last Thanksgiving if you're an American. Was there something that started in February of last year that had a pivot point around the first quarter moon? And now we're at the full moon, where the sun is in Leo and the moon is in Aquarius. They're both at 27 degrees on August 19th of 2024. The last quarter moon, 9 months from now. So it'll really be interesting to see, where Kamala Harris is 9 months from now versus where she is today. The sun will be in Taurus, the moon will be in Aquarius, and they're both will be at 29 degrees of the receptive sign. So that's that 29th anaretic degree, a degree of crisis and decay. You can think about Taurus rules money and resources. Now, the sun is conjunct Mercury retrograde, which is a little concerning, because this could be like someone is planning to do something bad, but they're hidden beneath the rays of the sun, as well as Vesta is right there. Vesta is Cazimi, right next to the sun. I could wax lyrically about that, but I'm not going to, just in the effort of time, about how that may show up. But it's called Lyrical Assassin because I think Kamala Harris is going to give an amazing speech. It's going to be her I Have a Dream speech, her Ask Not What Your Country Can Do For You speech. I think it's going to be a really well done speech that really excites Uranus, the people of the country. Now, the sun will be at 27 degrees of Leo. That's the Seven of Wands tarot card. It's a card of courage, defensiveness, perseverance through challenges. So think about that as you navigate the week. The Sabian symbol is many birds chirping on a limb of a large tree. It's so in line with the energy. It's like people gathering of like minds, and that's who will be at the DNC. Now, there may be protesters, there will be protesters outside who are protesting and maybe inside as well, who are protesting about the war in Gaza. And that could definitely be how the Mercury retrograde shows up, the people outside protesting. And with the sun conjunct Vesta, Vesta has associations with home. So that could be about like the homeland of Gaza, people speaking out about that. The moon will be at 27 degrees of Aquarius, and that's the Seven of Swords tarot card. That is a card of tactics, but it's also deception and betrayal. So keep that in mind as we go through this week. It's that thief energy. A tree felled and sawed to ensure a supply of wood for the winter is the Sabian symbol. So you can think about how you can't have it all. You have to sacrifice the tree, which may be beautiful to look at, for the benefit of what the wood brings. And it brings something warm for food. You can use it to light a fire and keep your home warm and your food warm. You can think about how it's like gathering resources. Now, it also can be hoarding or non-renewable sources you can think about, because once the tree's gone, I mean, it takes a long time to grow back. Linda Hill's book about the Sabian symbols is absolutely excellent. It's Linda with a Y. She's from Australia. We also have Venus opposite Saturn. Venus in Virgo opposite Saturn in Pisces. So that's tense. Venus rules money, resources, and values. Now, it's really so interesting with Kamala Harris because she's having a Venus return on this day or right around this day, because she is a native Venus in Virgo. And that has associations with the Independent Lady card in the tarot, which is the Nine of Pentacles. And the opposition of Saturn tests us. So this is the ultimate test of her life. Her running for president of the United States is never going to get bigger than that. Now, there can be something of, with Mercury retrograde, information dump of a sexual nature. Who knows if they have anything about Kamala Harris? They might try to dump it around this time. I wrote down, and I don't want to get into it, but the PP tape, if we see the PP tape, it will be right on board with the astrology, and I'll talk about it after the fact. I doubt we're going to see that, but that's what came to me when I was looking at the astrology and looking at somebody's chart. So it's going to be a big, intense full moon. It's combustible, explosive energy. Hopefully it will just be explosions of joy. But there's going to be around the world a lot of Uranian events. So just be aware of it. I'm excited to be a faculty member for the Organization of Professional Astrology's retreat in Park City, Utah from October 16th through 21st. I will be teaching a Moon Mastery Intensive over 3 days. This is going to be intimate, where there will be no more than 9 participants. You'll learn everything about the moon and her cycles to deepen your understanding of your natal chart. We will delve into the past, the present, and what's going to be coming up in the future so that you can use the energies in order to achieve your goals. You can also bring a chart of someone else with their permission. If you want to join, do not hesitate. Sign up today because there are limited spots. I would love to be your guide as you deepen your understanding of our beautiful lunar teacher. Jupiter in Gemini is squaring Saturn in Pisces this week as well. So on the day of the full moon as well. So they'll both be at 17 of their respective signs. And Jupiter and Saturn are opposite principle. Jupiter expands, Saturn contracts. They're both the teachers, but the Jupiterian teacher is more like a mentor who's really encouraging you to do your best, who wants you to succeed. Tim Walz, the vice presidential candidate, has his Jupiter on Kamala Harris's moon. This is one of the best aspects two people can share. So you can really feel the energy about, he is her protector. Jupiter protects. It's a benefic. It gives to life. It aids life. And Saturn takes away from life. Saturn controls. Saturn limits. Saturn is the strict disciplinarian, who's whacking the ruler across the back of their fingers. This transit could be like some teacher whacks a kid in the hand with a ruler. Gemini rules the hands. Now, Pisces has associations with deception and water, Gemini air. So this could be something about like somewhere in the world, and Mars is nearby. So there's still this combustible, explosive energy. Jupiter also rules long distance travel. Saturn delays. There could be a bunch of flights delayed or grounded. I've just got this King Me is something that just flashed in my mind. Yeah, Jupiter rules royalty. Mm. And Gemini, maybe Prince Harry, and because Gemini likes to do things twice, it rules siblings. Maybe Prince Harry and the other one, William, will decide to try to build back their relationship. That could be something that happened with this energy. Or siblings who've been fighting decide to, try to make a repair. And Jupiter and Saturn made their conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which is a critical degree, on December 20th, 2020, I believe was the exact day. And it was right around when the first COVID vaccines were available. So now at the square, there may be some kind of story. Jupiter also rules the truth. Some of the truths could come out about this. Now Saturn's in Pisces. Pisces rules medications. So there could be news about like long-term benefits or side effects or something like that. Think about in your own life, if there was a story back then that like has a turning point around now, you can maybe notice it. It's very common for there to be financial constrictions when these two planets square. Jupiter rules wealth, Saturn limits. And this is the first of 3. So there may be some news around the world, like if in the Middle East, God forbid, Iran and Israel really get into a war, that could have an effect on economies and things like that, where there could be a contraction of resources. But I'll talk about what happens after it happens. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that the sun will enter the sign of Virgo from Thursday, August 22nd until September 22nd. So the sun spotlights, focuses us on things, and illuminates things. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and Virgo has an eye for detail. This is the energy that likes to bring order to chaos. So it's a great time for decluttering, organizing, like being methodical about the approach you take, maybe doing a little bit of experimenting with some things in order to like improve your productivity could be a great thing that you want to do during Virgo season. Virgo's tagline is I analyze. There may be a spotlight on your health. Virgo rules health. So if you haven't made your dental or doctor's appointments in a while, this is a good time to schedule all of your appointments and take care of business. Get all the tests done you need. Also, Virgo rules the intestines. So notice if any digestional stuff comes up. Like on the day the sun goes into Virgo, like if it activates your chart, maybe, I have a little digestive upset, could be something that you notice. But we will be seeing something in the collective. And maybe this is the day that Kamala Harris gives her speech because she has a Virgo stellium. And I believe part of her speech may be talking about the middle class, the common folk. Also has to do with Virgo. Virgo is a sign of limited resource. Like it can be associated with poverty. Also with women, independent. Virgo is the maiden energy. So there's, of course, going to be talk about women's reproductive rights. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 30, 60, or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Ask me a burning question and I'll record a video for you. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is careful. Then we start the day with the moon in Aquarius, a fixed air sign, and there's associations, again, electrical associations. I wrote down, be careful with water around electrical appliances. Don't throw a toaster into the bathtub, especially if it's plugged in, is what I'm getting. There can be a risk of electrocution. So just be mindful, especially if Mercury's retrograde. Like if you're plugging something in and like there's a little bit of a shock energy, this could be like an appliance fries energy. On this day, Mercury is retrograde in Leo and it's square Uranus in Taurus. And so what is happening is that Mercury's backing up and Uranus is going forward. So they're mutually applying to each other. It's making that energy a little bit stronger. And retrogrades can bring reversals, the collapse of anything contemplated. So plans fall through unexpectedly, and they're both at 27 degrees. And with Uranus being on Algol, there could be something that comes out of nowhere. Like this very transit, Mercury and Leo square Uranus and Taurus, was what happened when Hitler rolled into Poland, at the onset of World War II. So it can be like an announcement, Mercury, the violation of land boundaries. So notice if like you and your neighbor are fighting over a tree and you're saying the leaves are on my side and they're like, no, that's your tree. No, that's my tree. This could be something symbolically of this energy where you're having a dispute because Mercury can criticize and argue. So just keep that in mind, like a conflict could come out of nowhere. Or this could be Leo rules children. Your child tells you they're getting married. Surprise. Or you're going to be a grandparent. Surprise. That could be a lovely way this could show up. It's very important for the United States because this is the first time Uranus squares the moon of the United States. Uranus in the sky, transit Uranus, squares the natal moon of the United States at 27 degrees of Aquarius. So we will see how this shows up. There may be just like something that's massive about information that, makes a lot of news in the US. I am sure the Secret Service better not mess up again. Like this convention, I'm sure they have anti-terrorist units and all of that, making sure that they're going to keep all these people safe. There's been so many things about assassinations in the news because Uranus rules assassinations. And with it on Algol, there's this intensification of this energy in Algol, the beheading star. So keep that in mind. You might find out someone may lose their head and just like go ballistic about something. And on this day, Mercury goes Cazimi. So Mercury's going retrograde, the sun's direct, so they're mutually applying to each other. And it's considered to be fortunate to be Cazimi. It's like sitting at the heart of the king where you can get asked for what you want. They're both at 26 degrees of Leo. They're on Donald Trump's Mars, so something may be illuminated about how he makes conversation or thinks or something like that on this day. Now, there's also the symbology of being hidden underneath the sun. This what makes me extra concerned about the potential for like assassinations, because Mercury is the person like who's holding the gun or wanting to make the attack. And this could be an attack on, there could be like powers out, a website goes down or something like that is possible with this energy. So we'll see how it shows up. There's also, this is the day Venus in Virgo. So Venus rules women, love, beauty, resources, things like that. Squaring Jupiter and Pisces, both at 17 degrees. Like this could be some royal scandal where a female royal has a scandal because Jupiter rules royalty. We'll see what happens. The disseminating moon begins at 4:54 p.m. Pacific time. Disseminating moons are times to share what you know. There's great time to teach someone about something. I mean, it's so incredible. This is the day that Venus in Virgo is squaring Mars and Gemini at 22 degrees of the respective signs. And Kamala Harris has her Venus in Virgo, and she's a woman, and she is pretty no nonsense. Virgo can be no nonsense. On Monday, the word of the day is musical. This is a day that Venus in Virgo is opposite Saturn and Pisces. They're both at 17 degrees. You may feel a little financial pinch. This could be someone opens up their credit card statement. Virgo rules the intestines, and oh God, I shouldn't have bought that energy when Leo season, when I was living out loud. Oh, it's still Leo season at this point. But Sun in Leo, I saw that shiny object. I just had to have it. Ooh, I got the credit card bill. That hurts. Or it could be like, oh, whenever Venus and Saturn are talking, like I cancel something, like I cancel Netflix or I cancel something like that, like give up control. Saturn controls spending Venus. This is the day the sun will square Uranus, both at 27 degrees. Then we'll have the full moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius at 11:25 a.m. Pacific time. Full moons are times to release what no longer serves you, celebrate any wins. This is a great energy to have the Democratic National Convention. This is also the day that Jupiter in Gemini squares Saturn in Pisces. It will be Jupiter rules celebrities in Gemini. Will there be siblings who are celebrities at the convention, maybe performing? Or I could just see like Beyonce and Taylor Swift walking together. I don't think Taylor Swift can be there. She's in England, but I wonder if she'll show up on a screen and officially endorse Kamala Harris. She did endorse her in Warsaw, where she posted an image. I take it as an unofficial endorsement that looked like Taylor was on one side and it clearly looked like Kamala walking into the White House. It was subliminal, but she's already endorsed her. So it'll be interesting. There's something very musical about it. The moon enters Pisces at 3:51 p.m. Pacific time. I wrote down, will Taylor Swift and Beyonce show up? But people singing, dancing, there's just a lot of this big energy. On Tuesday, the word of the day is old school. This could be just a lot of high energy. Maybe an elder statesperson will be making a talk. I could see Barack Obama talking at the convention on this day, potentially. On Wednesday, the word of the day is fight. And this is my fight song. Dun, 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 that song. The sun in Leo is King Kong's Neptune retrograde in Pisces on that day, both at the 29th degree. So like a big, big celebrity. But the 29th degree, this could also be Obama speaking on this day as well. But anyway, maybe, you know who this could be? This could be Bill Clinton speaking. I don't know if he'll be there or not, or something like that. But a big luminary, someone, Sun and Leo figure will be making news. Hopefully it's not like the Parthenon in Greece. As I'm taping this, I taped this early. There's a risk of fire, a risk of there being burned in a fire that's raging through Greece. There are these horrible, horrible wildfires going on in Greece. Hopefully they'll be under control by this time. The moon enters Aries at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. This is fiery energy. It's the first sign of the zodiac. So if you're watching the speeches and things at the convention, think about these transits. Think about where the moon is and how you hear key words in the speeches related to the different energies. But just about every planet is lit up. So you can make sure to add in the signs. On Thursday, the word of the day is inspirational. The Virgo season starts at 7:54 a.m. Pacific time. And soon after, the sun will King Kong's Pluto retrograde. They're both at 0 degrees of their respective signs. And the disseminating moon starts at 4:54 p.m. Pacific time. Disseminating moons are times to share what you know or teach someone something. On this day, Venus in Virgo squares Mars in Gemini. They're both at 22 degrees of their respective signs. They're both reporting into Mercury retrograde. We're probably going to hear a lot about the past. Venus is rules women, Mars rules men. Virgo is very focused on the task at hand and getting stuff done. Shadow Gemini can just talk a lot about it and get nothing done. You can think about it. Kamala Harris is a woman. Donald Trump is a man. I wrote down, this is the day Kamala gives her I Have a Dream speech. And I wrote on Instagram a post about it with my predictions that she's going to say, I have a dream. It's going to be like her big speech that's going to be memorable. And some of the things that she says in the history books, it may be as famous as like the I Have a Dream speech, or ask not what your country would do for you, but what you can do for your country, that kind of thing. That's John F. Kennedy for number 2 and Martin Luther King for number 1. Look how I gave 2 speeches as examples with Gemini doing things twice. That's why this is so long, maybe because of all this air in the sky. On Friday, the word of the day is blind spot. So this is a day, the energy it's a bit intense because Venus in Virgo is King Kunk's Chiron in Aries, both at 23 degrees. This could just be, I don't know when the convention ends, if they still are going on. This could be like a woman talking about how she almost died because she couldn't get the healthcare treatment she needed because Mercury retrograde in Leo is also trine Chiron at 23 degrees. Or this could just be on the news. Some woman talking about how she almost lost her life or no longer has fertility because she couldn't get the treatment she needed because Chiron is the wounded healer. Mercury rules children, and Mercury retrograde suggesting that maybe there could have been something, a problem with the child or something like that. The moon will enter the sign of Taurus at 5 p.m. Pacific time. The moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus. It's lifted up. It has a special seat at the table. This is fixed earth energy, a great time to have a great meal, get a massage, do something that soothes your senses, just like buy yourself some flowers, something that just brings beauty into your life is a great thing to do with this energy. On Saturday, the word of the day is fire. Mercury retrograde in Leo is sextile Mars in Gemini. They're both at 23 degrees. Mercury takes on the nature of what it's talking to. So this is energy for like people getting into verbal battles where they get really loud, like Leo could get loud and Gemini run in the mouth. So just be aware. If someone says something that really triggers you, think about how it maybe is in your blind spot. Like there's something about your shadow energies that, why am I so bothered by what this person just said? Before you just go off half-cocked and start an argument, because Mars and Gemini can be someone using their mouth as a gun, essentially. So just keep that in mind, that somebody may trigger something that you don't know why because it's in your blind spot. And it's like one of these chironic wounds from your childhood that never quite heals. Now, Kamala Harris's ascendant is at 24 Gemini. So this whole week we can see Mars coming to her ascendant. Mars achieves, Mars succeeds, Mars engages in conflict, Mars competes. Now, Mars also attacks, so I'm sure like all of the opposition from the different people from Donald Trump's team are going to be going after her really intensely at this time. Her Secret Service detail better be on their game 100% throughout this whole week. Yes, they will. And we're all sending positive, or at least I am, and I'm sure a lot of my listeners are, even if they don't support her. We all want positive, keeping everyone involved safe and secure. Yes. So That's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.